to apply a moratorium on debt payments of the Greek public debt, so that the Greek government can use the resources that would be channeled to interest payments to alternative tasks, right? For example, investment. At this time, recession is the biggest problem in the Greek economy. At the end of 2012, the Greek economy will have lost something like more than the 20% of GDP since 2008. At the same time, unemployment has reached unprecedented levels, something like 21, 22%. So right now, what we need to grow? We need growth in order to increase the economic activity. And if we increase economic activity and income, we can have more tax revenues. At the same time, this would be the only way in order to consolidate the fiscal situation in Greece right now. So what we need right now, first of all, is a debt moratorium. We cannot pay the debt right now. And at the same time, we need a very different economic strategy that will encourage growth, an economic strategy that will create jobs, an economic strategy that will increase the incomes, and in this way it can help to the fiscal consolidation.
And if it's not possible to pay all creditors and to pay for all social obligations of the country, I've read your basic programmatic commitments, and it seems to me that these commitments, or at least part of them, are preeminent for you. That you say these commitments have to be paid before the creditors of the country may be paid.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is one of the conditions of the bailout program. So what we say right now is that the bailout program that was signed by the previous government, that was supported by PASOK, which is the Social Democratic Party, New Democracy, which is the Conservative Party, that the bailout agreement that they signed is not valid because the Greek people has already rejected it after Sunday, after the elections of last Sunday. So I think that these conditions followed with the bailout agreement should be negotiated again with the new government of the Greek of Greece. So I mean, we think that these conditions right now of the bailout agreement do not solve the problem at all. Actually, they make the problem even worse. For example, this will, in order to pay all our debt, even if we don't have money in order to pay pensions or wages or for public education or for public health, in my point of view, cannot be sustainable. The Greek people, and I think the people of any country, cannot support such a policy. And for this reason, cannot be sustainable and viable. For this reason, we need to renegotiate again this bailout agreement in order to have more sustainable conditions.
Is it true that the Troika even wants to command a change of the Greek constitution in order to install in your constitution preeminence for debt servicing to external creditors?
Absolutely, absolutely. That was one of the conditions of the last bailout agreement. You can read it. You can find it over there. It states very clearly over there in the bailout agreement that Greece has to change the constitution, and that Greece has to create a special fund in the Central Bank of Greece, that all the money from the bailout will be deposited there in this special fund. And from this special fund, the creditors will be paid back in priority with respect to the other obligations of the Greek state. That means that firstly we pay the creditors, and if there is any money left, we can pay for wages, for pensions, and all the other things that we consider as a priority of the Greek government. As, for example, public education, public health, public investment, and all these things. And of course, they want to pass it in the Greek constitution until the beginning of 2013.
We have read on the webpage of the Trotskyist International what the Troika is doing, how they are destroying the health system of Romania, and we have read in the credit conditions with Portugal that they have increased the moderating fees for medical treatment at Portugal. We have not yet found what exactly the Troika is doing to the Greek health system. What has been changed by the credit conditions of the Troika since 2010 in your country?
Yes. Well, the initial program when the Troika came to Greece and when we signed the first bailout agreement in May 5th of 2010, the main target was that Greece would be back in the bond market in 2012. At that time, the public debt was something like 115% of GDP, 115% of GDP. Today, the public debt, after 2 years of the bailout program and the austerity policies implementation, the public debt is something like 165% of GDP. That means that the situation has been deteriorated, and that was something that we were saying from the very beginning of the first bailout program. And we were saying that with the austerity cannot solve a debt crisis, and that was not something that we were not the only who were supporting such a position. You could find a lot of articles even in very mainstream newspapers like in Financial Times or New York Times or even in The Economist that were stating the same thing exactly, that austerity cannot solve a public debt crisis. In order to deal with the public debt crisis, you have to encourage growth. You have to, if you have such a big public debt, you need a restructuring of the public debt. And this is something that they were denying. They were refusing to do the restructuring at the very beginning of the crisis. If they had done that, if the Greek government, the creditors, had agreed in the restructuring of the Greek public debt at the very beginning of the crisis, then we believe that this situation would have been avoided. However, they didn't do that. They did a restructuring 1 month ago, but that was very late. And as it seems now, the situation is very difficult to be reversed. What we need right now, I think, as I told you at the beginning, is a completely different strategy. We need to cancel a part of the Greek debt, and we need also a moratorium in the interest payment.
And Professor Dr. John Ziegler has called in a text which he has published via the Human Rights Department of the United Nations, when he has been a special rapporteur on the human right to food, that the credit conditions of the International Monetary Fund and of the World Bank are reason or cause number 2 for the starvation in the world. We have seen some pictures of elderly Greek people standing in a queue waiting for food distribution. We cannot estimate how many people are starving at Greece.
Well, imagine, I can give you some real data. Imagine that the percentage of households below the poverty threshold in 2010, according to the Eurostat data, was something like 33%.
How much? Sorry.
33.
33.
33. Yes, one out of the 3 households in Greece are below the poverty threshold. At the same time, we see a lot of people, as you said at the beginning, as you said in your question, a lot of people looking for food in these food distribution places, like churches or the municipalities or other kind of public services. We see a lot of people immigrating from Greece, and that's one thing that we hadn't seen since 1950s and 1960s, when young Greek people were immigrating to Germany or to the United States in order to find a job. And now in 2012, we see thousands of Greek people, especially young people, very well educated people, immigrating abroad in order to find a job. And I have to say that we're right now, within 2 years in Greece, we are experiencing a social disaster. I mean, within 2 years, the whole society has been devastated. It's very shocking. If somebody wants to compare what was the situation, the social situation, before 2010 and today, within 2 years, everything has changed. You see people begging for money or for food in the streets. You see thousands of homeless people in Athens, in the center of Athens. You can see a lot of pictures, but especially if you visit Athens, you will be shocked with the homeless people living in the parks or in the streets. So what I want to say is that it is very shocking, even for us who live in Athens and see all these things every day. If somebody from Germany wants to visit Athens, she will be shocked with the situation that she will see in Athens. There has been a social devastation, seriously and literally.
We have tried 2 times to talk with the trade union of the public services, and it seems that they didn't want to speak with us. I don't know, because we are from Germany. It seems that many people at Greece are quite upset about the German role regarding the credit conditions.
Can you repeat? I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
For 2 times we have tried to contact the trade union of the public services, and we didn't manage to communicate with them. And it seems to us that this is a sign that many Greek people are upset about the German role regards the credit conditions towards the public sector of Greece.
I see. I don't think that the trade union or the public sector would have that kind of problem. But in general, I think that there are people in Greece who, say that that Germany has a very bad role in this situation. From my point of view, what is very important is to try to see the people and not the states. And behind the people, we must important for us, for the less people in Greece, not to see Germany as an enemy, but it's very important to distinct the German workers with the German capitalists and Miss Angela Merkel, the Chancellor, Angela Merkel. Well, I think it's very important for us to have the solidarity of the German people, because we know very well that the wages in Germany have been stagnating the last 10 years in order to increase the exports, the German exports. We know very well that the German workers encounter similar problems with the Greek workers, and what we'd like to say is that we need the solidarity of the German people. For us, it's very vital. That's why we have come, and for my part, we have visited a lot of times in Germany, and we have contact with political parties as Linke. We have contact with trade unions, and we, at the same time, we invite people from Germany to give talks and talk about the situation and how the German people see the Greek people and vice versa. And we are trying to create a link between Greek people and German people, because it would be very, very silly to imagine that the German people are the enemy of the Greek people. For us, it's something that we would like to clarify, that we need the solidarity of the German people and all the European people in this very, very crucial and difficult struggle that we are giving. And we don't see the German people as an enemy at all. We want to give the same struggle together against the policies of Mr. Papadimos and against the policies of Miss Angela Merkel.
We have read in some newspapers, for example in Deutsche Mittelstandsnachrichten, much about the bank Goldman Sachs, and that lobbyists of Goldman Sachs have now key positions, for example Mario Monti at Italy, Lucas Papadimos at Greece, Mario Draghi at the European Central Bank, Dr. Jörg Asmussen, also from Goldman Sachs. I think we have read it in the Taz newspaper. He has been a high officer in the German Federal Ministry of Finance and now has also gone to the European Central Bank. What do you know about the role of Goldman Sachs at Greece?
Yes, what I know is that Goldman Sachs has been involved in the transaction of the swap bond with the Greek state. They tried to fix a little bit they tried to fix to camouflage actually the Greek public said a few months before Greece entered the Eurozone, and for out of this reason they made out a lot of money. I don't think, however, that this is the most crucial reason that we reach this situation. I think that Goldman Sachs, that the global problem is not Goldman Sachs itself. It's the alliance between the financial capital in general, which is, of course, Goldman Sachs is the main player within the financial capital. It's the alliance of financial capital and political authority. We see that there has been an interweaving between these groups, and that's why we have all these neoliberal policies applied to societies like the Greek society or the German society. And this is something that we have to deal with if we want to solve this crisis.
Okay, to separate economy from the state, we have read that among the credit conditions, the newest credit conditions is to close down 200 local financial offices of the financial administration. And we have read that Mr. Papandreou, the former Prime Minister of Greece, has thought about partly privatizing the revenue administration. You say you want to improve the revenue administration. What is the real situation? And in contrast to that, how do you want to improve the revenue administration at Greece?
Okay, I think that's a very crucial question. Because right now the problem with the Greek fiscal condition is not so much a matter of very, very high spending. It is a matter of very low revenues. Greece has a public spending as a GDP, a percentage that is at the average of the Eurozone, but at the same time, the revenues of the Greek state as a percentage of GDP is about 6-7% below the average of the Eurozone. So what we say right now is that we don't have to focus so much in cutting, in spending, in public spending cutting, but mostly to the increase of the tax revenue. Right now, what we say is that we have to change not only the tax rate and have a more just and more equal tax system, but we change, as I said, the administration. Right now, not only Mr. Papandreou, but Mr. Papadimos has talked about the privatization, as you said, of the public authority that is responsible for collecting taxes. At the same time, they have fired a lot of people working in this public authority, and at the same time, they have cut wages from these people that are supposed to have the most crucial role in collecting taxes. We have a completely different view from that. We need right now much more people in these services. These services have to remain public because it's almost completely senseless to have the private firms gathering taxes from other private firms. I mean, you cannot do that. You have to have an independent authority, a public authority, in order to collect taxes.
Without conflicts of interest.
Of course, there is a conflict of interest. I mean, if you have, for example, a big auditing group like PricewaterhouseCoopers or I don't know, Grant Thornton or some other company to collect taxes from other big groups, corporation groups, then there is of course a conflict of interest, and the loser in this case will be the Greek state, because we will lose revenues. And at the same time, we are talking about hiring more people in these authorities, because at this time, imagine that there are only, I think, it's a very small number of people working in the public authority for collecting revenues, something like I think 9,000 people, which is very low compared to other countries in the Eurozone. And imagine that there are 9,000 people for 900,000 corporations that are operating in Greece right now. So this is a very unequal proportion
Mm.
That's why we say that we have to increase, hire more people, pay them more in order to have more incentives and have better working conditions in order to operate better.
Then it would really mean to increase taxes if you want to pay higher wages in the public sector and at the same time do not want to pay back all loans, all credits of Greece, then you I think won't get credits to acceptable interest rates and will have to pay more than now via taxes.
Can you repeat, because I don't hear you very well.
I think.
Not connected.
Okay, I think that you will have to increase taxes, also the tax rates, then in order to pay the people in the public sector better. If you at the same time, as I do want not to pay back all public debts, then you won't get credits to acceptable interest rates. If you want to increase the wages, for example, in the public sector, it will cost money, and I think that you will need to have to increase taxes. What is your concept? Which taxes do you want to increase to finance your concept?
I think that's one of the core questions regarding our program, and this is one of the things that is very vital. First of all, we want to say that we are not against taxes in general. We are not opposed cutting tax rates in general. We support a much more equal taxation system. So far, the whole tax burden is put on the shoulders of wage earners and pensioners. Right now, indirect taxes in Greece are very heavy, and for this reason, the taxation system is very unequal. We have the poor people paying a much bigger proportion of their income and paying the rich. For this reason, we have made a very concrete and I think a very realistic proposal concerning the information of the taxation system. And we want to raise taxes on wealth. We want to raise taxes on big property. We want to raise the taxation gradually on the corporate profit. Right now, Greece has one of the lowest tax rates on corporation profit, is 20%, and now they are supposed to diminish it up to 15%, and 15%. And so we want to raise these kinds of taxes. And we think that this is not only the issue is not only to raise taxes, but also to restructure the whole organization of the taxation system. We need to have much stricter audits or have much stricter auditing authorities in order to impose these taxes and to ensure that we will receive this tax revenue. But even if you have such high tax rates, without the good organization of the taxation and audit system, you cannot raise tax revenues. That's why we were talking about reformation of the organization of the system as well, apart from raising taxes.
Where do you see possibilities for fair and just cuts in expenditures of the state?